Okay, we are live now, and I'm making you host again.
Very good.
Just wait. Now you can make me the co-host.
There you go, Nancy.
Thank you, Russ.
Good afternoon, Martha.
Hi.
How are you?
Okay. Look forward to this, but I'm going to keep my camera off for a while.
That's fine.
All righty.
This is going to be a great class. You'll love it.
Great.
Have
I
you ever
have been to Mexico. I've been to Yucatan.
Ooh, okay.
So,
Well, I love to have people that are from Mexico, have been to
Yeah.
Mexico
yeah,
to be in the classes and tell us about things.
that's great.
That's one of my destinations within the next year, probably New Year's Eve. I'm going to Mexico. So,
Wonderful.
hi, Christine. Hi, Eva.
Hi.
Hello, S. Carter. Eva, I wish I had a ceiling fan going above me right now. It's warm here today.
Where is here? Where are you?
Here is Harrisonburg, Virginia, which is in the Shenandoah Valley,
Oh,
and actually it's very pleasant. I can't complain. I just came in from a bike ride, so I'm still hot, and I didn't get time to go grab my fan and bring it over here and put it. So
it's very nice here too. I'm right in the center of Michigan, right central Michigan.
you know,
Very beautiful
Christine,
weather today.
I used to live in Elkhart, Indiana, which is northern Indiana.
Oh,
just a
my
few
sister
miles.
lived down there and
Yep.
worked at the banks down there.
Yep, just over the border. And I've been interested in doing a class on what you can do in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, but I haven't found anybody yet who would lead the class. So if you know anybody, let me know. It's
I'll do that.
I know it's beautiful up there around the
Oh,
lakes.
it's gorgeous. Oh. The thing that surprised me about Upper Michigan is the roads, how much better they are up there than they are down here in the center, in the lower peninsula. I thought they'd be worse because of all the snow and ice they get. But
Well, you know what makes roads bad actually is the number of freeze and thaw cycles.
oh, that's okay.
And so I suppose if the roads just, the ground freezes for the winter and it's frozen, and then it thaws in the spring, you've had it. I know that because I lived most of my life in Western Pennsylvania, and they always said that one of the reasons Pennsylvania's roads were so bad was the repeated freezing and thawing cycles.
I guess that's sounds very true. But yes, I was very impressed with the roads up there when we had to take my son to the ferry to he was going to work on Isle Royal up there.
Ooh, Isle Royal. That sounds nice. I've known people that have been there.
I've never been there. It's because I have difficulty kind of walking around very much, but I've taken virtual tours and it's like, oh God, it's gorgeous.
Hi, Linda. Hi, Joanne. Good to have you all here this afternoon. We're going to give it about one more minute. We are starting something new with Get Set Up. And that is, if you're coming to the class, you need to be there by five minutes after class starts. After that, you will have to either go watch it live stream or ask customer service to help desk to get you into a class.
Can
So-
you repeat the first part of that message? There was a message come on say that it's going to be recorded, which I just clicked continue. But what did you say? How long when do you have to be in class?
5 minutes after
Okay.
class starts. Then if people come late, they
Okay.
won't be necessarily admitted. We've created some new security policies so that we don't get any
Good
Zoom
idea.
bombers. So we've had some Zoom bombers, and that can be very upsetting. And for the sake of our learners, we're doing everything. We'll have some other things that we'll do long term to help with that. That isn't the final solution, but for the interim, we'll be doing some. We also have some new technological capabilities coming in. There'll be like there's gonna be something like they call a lobby that you can hang out in beforehand and afterwards. So
Oh, that's a good idea.
that's coming. Yeah. Well, they said the lobby would be for learners to hang around after class to talk to each other. And I said, what if I wanted to hang around and talk with some of them myself? Because my
good.
classes for some reason mostly end like in the nick of time. And I have to tell everybody goodbye. We have, because the hour's up. Hi, Hiroko. Hi, Lynette. Hi, Fred. Hi, Jane. Good to have you all with us. And Nancy is our
Hello,
TA.
how are you?
I'm
Hello.
doing- Good to see you all. And Fred, I was talking to Donna about you.
The word gets around.
Word gets around. Well, one of the fun things about Get Set Up, the guides, is we talk about learners, and we have some all-stars who I'll have someone I'll say, they come to all my travel classes, and somebody else, and Scott will say, well, they come to all my photography classes. And Deb says, well, they come to all my cooking classes. And Donna says, well, they come to all the art classes. So we have some real all-stars that come to lots of different stuff, and that's fun. And it's good to see you all. I was sharing with a few that entered a few minutes ago that the new policy coming up that you got to be here about within 5 minutes after class starting. Just a little bit of enhanced security lately. We had a little bit of Zoom bombing, so we're just gonna make sure everybody that's here is actually a regular learner in the class. But you all are. I think I recognize every face and name here, so that's nice to see you all. I know, let's see. Martha says she's been to Mexico. I know Fred's not only been to Mexico, Fred's lived in Mexico. Anybody else here been to Mexico? You can raise your hand or put up your virtual hand. Hiroko, Eva, Joanne. Yep.
I used to work in Mexico for the United Nations.
Where did you live? In Mexico City?
Mexico City, because we have a Economic Commission of Latin America there. So I just went back and forth.
Great town, big, but still great town.
Let's see. Well, it's glad to have you. I'm glad to have you all here today. This is a class on some ancient civilizations of Mexico, and I'm a person who is fascinated by ancient civilizations, and I've seen all sorts of ruins and things in Europe. I've seen some places older than Stonehenge, and I will probably do a class on that. If anybody here has been to Newgrange in Ireland, that's a fabulous place that's older than Stonehenge. But I've been wanting us all to learn that there are places in Mexico that were civilizations and cultures that were just as sophisticated as places in Europe, and some of them are quite old. And the Mayans and and those that preceded them also built some fabulous pyramids. I haven't seen any of them yet, but I plan to see some of them in January when I go to Mexico. Teotihuacan, is that the one that's the most famous, I think? Some of you,
Now, there's two places, Teotihuacan and,
Teotihuacan, right?
and Tenochtitlan.
Tenochtitlan, yes. There's some unusual.
I get confused. One is Mexico City and the other is outskirts of Mexico.
That's right. There's some unusual consonant combinations in the indigenous languages in Mexico that I'm still struggling with, like putting an L right after a T, tala. But hey, we just have to learn how to say that. I'm glad to have you all here. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you and pull up a little bit about some ancient civilizations. We're going to look today at the Toni Na, which might be the largest pyramid in the world, and we'll find out if it is or not. And also San Cristobal, the city of San Cristobal, which is near it. I think you all know me. I'm Russ Eanes, your guide from Harrisonburg, Virginia, a writer, walker, and a cyclist. And I was out on my bike today and worked up a good sweat because it's a nice warm day, probably in the low 80s. Can't complain. I used to be a book publisher, and now I'm a full-time guide with Get Set Up. I love working with all the learners, and I know a lot of you from many classes, and I appreciate you being here today and being part of the community, because we are a great community here at Get Set Up. And thank all of you that put your camera on so we can see you and you can see each other. This is a good class today. We will be looking at some video, but you can record this class, a video of this class after the class. And if anyone is joining by live stream, the best way is to participate. And we are live streaming this today, so I'm glad to have the folks that are joining us on live stream. And lastly, Get Set Up's not paid to promote any specific products. There are many. Let me go to Mexico now. So I was making reference before to ancient cultures. There are many, many pyramids in Mexico. Chichen Itza is one of the most famous and visited on the Yucatan Peninsula. Lots of tourists go there, and there are many pyramids that are still covered around the world, actually, but especially around in Mexico and Central America. Mayan pyramids. And I'm going to try to share with you today about some that are lesser known and possibly the largest, and we'll learn something about those. I've got some video by some folks that call themselves 1 Million Adventures. It's a family who's traveling through Mexico, and I thought they did it very well, very respectful of the Mexican culture, and they actually have a fairly decent accent when they speak Spanish. This is Teotihuacan. Fred, if I got Teotihuacan.
Well, no, the I is pronounced E, so it's Teotihuacan.
Teotihuacan, thank you. This is one of the better known ones in Mexico. Possibly the best one known one. I think this is the one closest to Mexico City, Fred. But today we're going to look at Toni Na, or Tonina, in Chiapas. And Chiapas is the, we'll look at it on a map here. It is the southernmost state of Mexico. It borders Guatemala. And like Oaxaca next to it, which we looked at on foods, it also has a very large indigenous population. And my interest this month in May was to talk about places that we could all go to. In April, we looked at a lot of places in Europe with Rick Steves, but we up until now, we haven't been able to go to Europe. Guess what? In June, we can go to Europe, and Europe's ready to have us. But Mexico has been and continues to be open to American visitors. So I thought it would be good to learn about some places in Mexico that are a little bit less known, but are wonderful to visit. And in particular, I'm interested in these states of Oaxaca and Chiapas. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to stop 1 second and prepare a video for you. There we go. And this is going to be our Million Adventures. And afterward, it'd be wonderful to talk about it. Any of you that have experienced anything like this or been to any of these places, I'd like to hear from you.
Located in the southernmost state of Mexico called Chiapas, the ruins of Tonina are near the heart of the once great Maya Empire, an empire so vast that it covered most of southern Mexico, Belize, and Guatemala. Tonina was a city of war and great prosperity, with rulers that conquered many cities, including the mighty Palenque. Tonina's rulers built massive pyramids and temples aligned with the cosmos and the movements of the sun. Its people flourished for over 700 years until the end of the classic Maya period. They left behind their stories in monuments of stone, and the once mighty Acropolis of Tonina, perhaps the tallest Maya structure in the world, was all but forgotten.
Are we there yet?
Good morning. So we are just outside of the city of Ocosingo, Chiapas, Mexico. And we got here last night and we're staying in this awesome Airbnb. I have to show you this place. It's just kind of out here in the middle of the jungle. And it's just an awesome little Airbnb. Check that out. Beautiful little place. We've got all this land surrounding us, and we are here this weekend to explore the Tonina ruins, which you can actually see just right over here through the fog. The most amazing view ever. Right there through the fog. Maybe a little hard to see on the GoPro, but yeah, we got here last night and had a little bit of excitement. We found a tarantula inside of the house. That was a little bit exciting. We brought the tarantula out. Whoop, there he is. Okay, there he is. He's on the grass. There he goes. But we're excited today to go explore these ruins and learn more about them. All right, let's go do it. Tonina is located high above the valley of Ocosingo in the Mexican state of Chiapas on the borders of the Lacandon jungle. It's far from any airport, which makes it somewhat hard to get to, and there are really only 3 main ways to reach it. The first is by driving the windy mountain roads from San Cristobal de las Casas. This is the route that most tourists visiting Chiapas will probably take. The drive is about 3 hours and sometimes prone to roadblocks. The other option is to fly into Palenque and drive over 3 hours through jungle-covered mountains. Roadblocks on this route are actually a really big problem. Make sure to bring some cash for donations if you go this route. If you're coming from the city of Comitán, the highway that goes through Altamirano is peaceful, but it has a lot of potholes. However you decide to arrive, Tonina is more than worth the trip. Entrance cost is 65 pesos per person, and guides run about 400 pesos. This place is incredible. I realized though that you're not supposed to fly drones here. I've been flying my drone over the city last night and this morning. I'll put some of that footage in, but know that if I had known it was prohibited, I would not have done so. But it's too good not to put in. Check this out. Look at that. Amazing. If you do a search online for tallest Maya pyramid in the world, Tonina may not come up right away. In fact, there are lots of other contenders throughout Mesoamerica that tend to steal the limelight. The problem is that when it comes to pyramids and ancient structures, the lines get a bit blurry as to height and actual size. Some people like to use volume as a measure of a pyramid's stature, while others are simply counting the height from the base to the top. Things are further complicated when you consider that the Maya built extremely elaborate structures consisting of many temples, platforms, and pyramids all on top of each other. Let's take a quick look at some of the contenders to understand why Tonina may just be the tallest, though not necessarily the biggest Maya structure in the world. First on our list, let's start with some well-known pyramids. The impressive pyramid, the Great Jaguar, in Tikal, Guatemala, comes in at a height of 47 meters. That's over 150 feet high, taller than a 10-story building. The Great Pyramid of Calakmul in Campeche, Mexico is next on our list, with an impressive 55 meters. Though I had trouble confirming this height, many resources put it at 45 meters, but we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Back in Tikal, temple number 4 is 64 meters according to the national park that protects these ruins. Each of these structures so far is impressive, both in height and size, but we're about to take it up a notch. The Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan, Mexico was once thought to be the highest pyramid in all of Mexico. It comes in at 65 meters according to the National Archaeological Institute of Mexico, though it may have originally been higher. This pyramid is massive and is certainly a top contender if we take sheer volume into account. Next on the list is the Great Pyramid of Cholula in Puebla, Mexico, coming in at 66 meters, though I had trouble confirming this number with a reputable source. Things start to get a bit fuzzy with Cholula because it is a temple pyramid complex. The Great Pyramid of Cholula is likely to be one of the largest Maya structures by volume, but by height there are still a few others in front of it. La Danta complex at Mirador in Guatemala is next in line. Like Cholula, this is not so much a freestanding pyramid as it is a complex of structures rising from the jungle floor. La Danta is most likely the largest Maya structure by volume in the world, and its height comes to 72 meters, according to the book, The Ancient Maya. You'll see La Danta hailed as the tallest structure in the Maya world on articles online. But is it really?
So let me just say that it was nearly impossible to find accurate heights for some of these. I used the most reputable heights I could find from the most reputable sources. I scoured books, articles, archaeological reports, and it is absolutely ridiculous how much numbers differed and disagreed, even in the same places. It's crazy. I imagine that's because there's different people probably taking the measurements, they may be taking them in different ways, and let's just face it, it's really hard to measure a massive structure in the middle of the jungle. So I imagine in the future, as there are new discoveries and technology improves, it'll help settle this debate further. But let's get back to Toni Na and why I believe it may even surpass La Danta as the tallest Maya structure in the world.
For years it was believed that Toni Na got its height from being built onto an existing hillside. Although it is definitely built into the hills, the true structure of Toni Na was not discovered till as recently as 2010. Discoveries on the northeast of the site revealed that Toni Na was much more man-made than was previously believed. Using new discoveries, Director of Archaeology at Toni Na, Juan Yadiun Angulo, and a group of postgraduate students were able to create a three-dimensional map of the site. The map revealed that contrary to popular belief, Toni Na's height is from actual human construction, and not from its being built on a hill. To quote the director, "It was believed that almost all of it was a natural hill or mound, but recent evidence has revealed that almost all of it was built by the ancient settlers." Toni Na, he continued, is bigger than we suspected. Toni Na is a truly massive construction. The whole structure boasts 7 platforms with 13 temples currently excavated. With the new discoveries that have been made, Angulo and his associates have measured Toni Na's height to be 75 meters in front. In the northeast corner, it's 62 meters high, and it has a facade covering over 300 meters. They declared it the tallest pyramid in Mexico, surpassing even the mighty Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan. So if we put Toni Na up against all our previous contenders, it is clearly the tallest, as far as our current information, and as long as we measure it from the front. It's hard though to really assert it as the biggest, because like several of the other top contenders, Toni Na is not a perfect freestanding pyramid. This is evidenced by the difference in height in the northeast section versus the front elevation. Perhaps one of the most startling facts about Toni Na is that it's only about 30% uncovered. According to our guide, who is an archaeologist for the site, no real active work has been going on at Toni Na for some time because of lack of funds. Who knows what future excavations will unearth? This represents what the pyramids look like all uncovered. He said right now, only 30% is uncovered.
So that's like not this.
Yeah, 30%. So Toni Na is a lesser known ruin site. Everyone goes to Palenque and Tikal and other places like that, but Toni Na was actually one of the largest temples in all of Mesoamerica. It was a very war-based city. They actually conquered Palenque and many other places. But yeah, it was one of the biggest temples in all of Mesoamerica. They lived here from 200 years BC to 909 years after.
and then they disappeared, and no one really knows why. This is one of the awesome things about Tonina, is you can actually go inside the ruins still. Wow. Whoa. Wow. That was pretty cool. Amazing that these are so well preserved. Like, that after so many millions of years, thousands, not millions, but thousands of years, they could be still in such good shape. So amazing. All right, we're going up the pyramid. Careful, Brooke. Come on, Brookie. Up we go. That's the Mayan toilet right there. And that's the sink. Okay, let's go. This place is awesome. It's so cool that you get to actually like walk around the ruins. Most other ruins you don't get to walk inside them and stuff. But this is pretty awesome.
In its time, Tonina was known for being a fierce warring city, whose principal method of trade and power was to capture the nobles of other cities. According to its stone-inscribed history, Tonina was almost always at war. It conquered cities both near and far, and even rose to dominance over the mighty city of Palenque for a time. The most famous ruler of Tonina, Ki'inichak Ba'aknal, began his rule in 687 and captured more than 20 capitals in the region. Palenque was the city that Tonina fought with the most and could be seen as its arch rival. There are depictions all over Tonina of bound captives from Palenque, some of whom are thought to be the sons of the great Lord Pakal, the 5th longest reigning monarch in all of history.
Steep, steep, steep stairs. Oh my gosh. I'll carry Brooke just a minute. These stairs are heck of steep. All right. I gotta carry a child. No more filming for a moment. Woo. Super steep here. Super, super steep. But here we are on top of the pyramid. Oh my goodness. So amazing. Holy cow. Look at this. Woohoo! Hands in the air. We made it to the top.
We're on the top of the
So this other hill over here, they've actually discovered the base of another pyramid. So it's just like a hill, but it's totally a pyramid underneath there, which is just crazy.
Whether or not Tonina is the tallest Maya structure in the world, it sure is impressive. From its temples and pyramids to its sculptures and stone-inscribed history, there's no arguing that this place is special.
So those are some pretty incredible ruins. We actually opted to pay a guide to come take us around to show us the ruins and tell us all the history, and actually totally worth it, I think. It was like 400 pesos, 400 pesos, not that much. But all the history he told us and all of the things he showed us that we otherwise would have had no idea about, I think was totally worth it. All right, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe. We'd love to have you along on our million adventures. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
San Cristobal de las Casas is a city unlike any other. Located in the southernmost state of Chiapas, Mexico, San Cristobal, or San Cris as the locals sometimes call it, draws visitors from around the world because of its uniqueness. It serves as a hub for those wanting to explore the vast state of Chiapas and its Mayan ruins, waterfalls, and jungles. It's also only about 3.5 hours from the border of Guatemala. Behind the facade of the city's touristic center and its picturesque valley lies a complex culture and daily life, and a history that's both troubling and fascinating. There's a lot to love about this place, and visitors will find themselves in a part of Mexico unlike any other.
So as of the making of this video, we will have been living in San Cristobal for 7 months. Our original intent was to come here for 3, but we've ended up staying because we liked it so much. San Cristobal is a great jumping off point to get to know the rest of Chiapas and to visit the various sites there are in the state, including Mayan ruins, waterfalls, and all sorts of cool stuff like that. This is the first in a series of videos we're going to make about San Cristobal and the various adventures that we've had while being in Chiapas. So we hope you enjoy them and come along for the ride. Let's get to know San Cristobal.
San Cristobal is located in the central highlands of Chiapas, in a large bowl-shaped valley surrounded by rocky pine-covered mountains. It used to be the capital of Chiapas, which title it succeeded to Tuxtla Gutierrez in 1892. Tuxtla is the largest city in Chiapas and about an hour's drive away. San Cris is unique in its geography and its climate because of its mountainous location. The hills around the city are covered in a unique pine and oak forest, with bromeliads, succulents, and agave plants growing in the trees and rocks.
So all around San Cristobal are mountains. It's a mountain city, and the environment is actually really interesting. If you weren't paying attention, you might think it was a forest in Idaho or something like that, because it's all pine trees. But when you look closely, the trees are all covered in air plants and bromeliads, because this is really a cloud forest where it's almost always wet. It's pretty cool though.
San Cristobal has a dry and a rainy season. The rainy season lasts from about April to November, and spectacular thunderstorms descend rapidly on the valley almost every evening around 3 or 4 o'clock. These storms can dump incredible amounts of rain before rushing onward, leaving the streets temporarily flooded. Temperatures are quite cool in San Cristobal compared to the rest of Chiapas because of its high altitude. Throughout the year, the temperature averages highs of 65 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit and lows of 40 to 50. It serves as a hub for the region known as Los Altos. The region has long been inhabited by the ancestors of the Mayan nations of Mesoamerica, and currently 2 main groups of peoples live in and around San Cristobal. The Tzotzil people and the Celtal people are 2 related but distinct races of indigenous peoples, and each speak a different language. The name of San Cristobal in Tzotzil and Celtal is Jovel, which means the place in the clouds.
So the mountains of Chiapas around San Cristobal are covered with people who are indigenous. A lot of them don't even speak Spanish. They speak the languages Tzotzil and Celtal, and they've been here for thousands of years. They farm the mountainsides. You'll see corn and soybeans planted all over the mountainsides, and there's avocados that grow here, bananas, choyotes, kind of squash. All sorts of plants are how they sustain themselves. They also have sheep, sometimes cows, and sometimes goats.
As is the case with most of Mexico and the Americas, San Cristobal has a rocky history full of conflict between the indigenous peoples and the Spaniards. To be brief, it has gone through many periods of political activism and was one of the hotbeds from which grew the Zapatista movement. The Zapatistas, or EZLN, is a guerrilla militia promoting independence from government and rights for indigenous peoples. The area of Los Altos around San Cristobal continues to assert independence from the Mexican government. Communities are self-governed, setting their own laws despite financial assistance and basic living needs projects such as education, water, and roads. It's not uncommon in the mountains to run into blockades, protesting government, or seeking monetary assistance. The Los Altos region is the poorest in all of Mexico.
So one of the unfortunate things about San Cristobal is, unfortunately, there is still a lot of racism and ethnic segregation here between the indigenous peoples and the people of Hispanic origin. It's something that people would like to brush under the rug, but it is a reality. The indigenous peoples really form the backbone of the economy in the area, growing much of the fruits and the vegetables, making all the handicrafts and bringing them here into town. We have spent a great majority of our time here in Chiapas, actually amongst the Tzotzil and Celtal people in the Los Altos region around San Cristobal, and we have to say that they are some of the most amazing and wonderful people on this earth. We've come to love them and made amazing friends with many of them.
So what is there to do in San Cristobal? We will dedicate a whole video to our top 10 things to do, but for now, here's a quick rundown. San Cris is often used as a jumping off point to explore the outdoor regions of Chiapas, and you'll see tourist agencies all over the center of town advertising trips to ruins, waterfalls, and the like. We've been to just about every place advertised, and many that aren't. We'll be sharing our adventures to many of these here on our channel. Chiapas has a landscape that is ripe for the outdoor enthusiast. Here close to the city are many eco-parks, offering hiking, zip lines, rock climbing, and cave exploring. For more distant adventures, you can hire companies to take you to the most popular sites around the state at reasonable prices. Within the city itself, there's an explosion of culture to enjoy. The center of San Cristobal is known for its colonial architecture and beautiful cathedrals, each unique and colorful. There are museums throughout the city dedicated to a number of topics, such as textiles, chocolate, and indigenous cultures. There are also museums showcasing jade and amber, two precious stones found in abundance in the region. The center of the city has two main walking streets, which are the hub of tourism. These stem from the main plaza and cathedral and are full of shops and restaurants. One is called Real de Guadalupe and the other is Miguel Hidalgo. These andadores turísticos are a great place to shop, eat, and just people watch. Throughout these streets and in the plazas, you'll be thronged by indigenous vendors selling handmade textiles and goods. It's especially fun to go to the centro during festivities such as Day of the Dead, Christmas, and Dia de la Independencia, where you'll find bands playing, fireworks, and street performers. The city has many markets which are fun to explore, but we'd especially recommend the artisan market around Santo Domingo if you're looking for some cool, authentic souvenirs. The other markets are mostly dedicated to food and the necessities of life. But if you've never visited a market in Mexico or Central America, you may find them interesting.
So we've just barely scratched the surface of this place. San Cristobal and Chiapas as a whole are amazing. I'm super excited to share with you all the crazy adventures that we've been having here. If you want a sneak peek into what is going to be on this channel here in the future, go check us out on Instagram, where we post lots of cool pictures. If you like awesome adventures, cool places, if you haven't already, consider subscribing. We'd love to have you along on our million adventures. All right, we'll see you on the next one.
Are we there yet?
So we've just barely scratched the surface of this place. San Cristobal and Chiapas as a whole are amazing. Gosh. Welcome to Mexico. Okay, let's do that again.
So I enjoy the blooper at the end. That's Fred might know what those are called. They're like firecrackers. They're not, wasn't a gunshot.
Yeah, they're just general fireworks.
Yeah, general fireworks. That's a good way to put it. Anybody here been to Chiapas or San Cristobal or Tinona?
I was in, the only time I've been in the state of Chiapas, I went there by a private trawler from La Paz, Mexico, and we stopped at Tapachula, which is the last town on the border with Mexico and Guatemala. That's the only time I've ever been in Chiapas. I've been in Oaxaca before.
Okay, yeah, that's I'd love. I have an ambition to get to Chiapas. I've been reading about it for 30 years, so I'd like to go there. Any other comments or things you saw in the video? I like this family, the way they do their. I felt they're very respectful of the culture. Oftentimes, when Gringos, Americanos do video, it can be a bit cheesy. Maybe I really felt like they were definitely trying to understand and be part of the culture. I thought his accent was pretty good. A lot of, I appreciate the emphasis on the indigenous culture. By the way, when he said it cost 400 pesos for that tour, that was only $20, which I think was a bargain for, I think he was the archaeologist that had been digging at the site, and looked, they got a multi-hour tour. So I think that was
That's a real bargain.
a real bargain. And I like I quick caught a sight when he was a quick snippet of the Museo de Cacao in San Cristobal. That looked like a place I'd like to go to. Anybody else got comments or questions or anything you noticed?
Well, it was in Oaxaca. Well, it was in Oaxaca, but one memory I have there, I forget what the holiday was, but you get this kind of like a buñuelo, like a little donut in a little clay bowl. And then after you ate it, you would turn around on the side of the church there and throw it over your shoulder, and it would hit the wall and, you know, break up. That was one of my memories of Oaxaca.
Laura,
Will you be showing more of our Million Adventures? Fascinating.
possibly. I'm going to send you all the link. He made reference to, what was it, the top 10 things in San Cristobal. So I'll make sure I send you the link to that. When we return to Mexico, I'll probably do more of our Million Adventures. They're honestly about 5 or 6 large, I call large, meaning they have lots of material YouTubers that are in Mexico. I think they're one of the best.
So we can also just go to his Facebook account.
He's on Instagram, and I
Or
will send you the
Instagram.
link to this YouTube channel. So those came off of their YouTube channel, and I'll send you that link. And San Cristobal now is the place I'd like to get to. This looked delightful and very fascinating. I personally very interested in the indigenous culture and learning more about it. And I know that in Chiapas, you'll learn that. So we'll see if there's more Our Million Adventures to watch.
I agree, because we know so little. In America, we know so little about anything except America. We're not the center of the universe. And when you see the kind of history, I mean, I didn't realize there was that many pyramid-like ruins, and would love to know more about the culture. But I guess that's the mystery. All of a sudden it disappeared and we don't seem to know anything about it.
Mexico has probably more diverse groups of ethnic people than probably most of Central America. They have a huge, because of the size of the country. I mean, we're focusing on Oaxaca and Chiapas, but there's indigenous cultures all over the country.
And I was also interested and want to do more reading about how they constructed the temples.
It's just what I was wondering.
They used mortar, and they used mortar made of lime, which is also what they did. The Romans made mortar with lime. I mean, it's been used worldwide to construct, and they also had the very similar style where they would fill in the inside of the pyramid with rubble and
Uh-huh.
then face it with stone, or they would also fire clay bricks, which is again the same thing the Romans do. You might look at a Roman ruin and say, wow, that's huge what they built, but inside is rubble as well. So just fascinating.
But nobody did them with huge blocks like the Egyptians.
Well, again, I when I was trying to read up about
Ruins.
the pyramids in Central America, I was curious if they used what they call dry mortar. So if you go to, say, Ireland or Scotland, a lot of they constructed things where they refer to it as dry mortar. So the ancient Irish built these beehive huts out of dry mortar, but they also use a similar type of construction called corbelling, where one layer on top of another is constructed in such a way that it can create an arched roof, or goes all the way to can encloses the whole structure. And the Mayans did the same thing that the Irish did. There's just so many fascinating things about the culture I would like to learn more about. Also, like you said, why it disappeared so suddenly. And but while there's still so many people that are descendants of the culture around, so the people didn't disappear, the culture disappeared, and was also supplanted. I shouldn't say vanished altogether.
Maybe Get Set Up should just do a series on pyramids around the world.
Well, you just gave me a topic, Laura. I was planning on doing, I am planning at some point on doing a series on where the Romans were in Europe, because for the first time I went to Europe, I kept, till the last time I've been there, you keep stumbling upon Roman ruins that aren't in Italy, and they're everywhere, and they're so similar. And so that's another good topic, pyramids of the world, because also in Southeast Asia, in Cambodia, there are huge pyramids, and there seems to be some urge among humans to build pyramids.
You know, something that I laugh about with my friends, and I say, you see these pyramids that are thousands of years older, and they got some scrolls on them, pictures on them, some information, maybe symbols that we think meant certain things. I said, in another 1,000 years, if we keep going the way we are with all our machinery, and maybe there'll be a few buildings still standing, and they'll be going, God, how did they do this? They didn't even know how to write.
Yeah.
Think about that one, folks.
Yeah. Any more impressions or observations from anyone on the video today? Hiroko.
This is just a comment. As I get older, I have a little bit of psychological, little bit of reminiscence, sometimes regret. Obviously, I'm too old to climb up all those pyramids, etc., to go through the experience of this family. I have 6 children, but my husband and I went to Machu Picchu, all those Mexican pyramids, and we went up and down. But at my age, I have to resort to some other people's experience and just live through it. But I came to the point of accepting the fact of life. I went through the period of frustration. Okay, I'm unable to climb up and down. But today I thoroughly enjoyed those areas we went through. And my children at the age of this gentleman going around with children. So I think I'm going to focus certain area. I cannot go there, but I enjoy through somebody's experience. And maybe I may have to realistically concentrate in more European city or so, where I have relatives or children living, so that I have to just compromise my adventurous spirit our family used to have. Generation has already passed to my kids' generation, but one could easily enjoy. That is how I discovered today, and thank you very much for this experience.
Well, you're welcome.
Hiroko, I share your feelings and was thinking exactly the same thing. Yes, I remember seeing all of that, but no, 90 steps, no. Last time I think I was in Asia, and I went with my niece, and I said, I'm going to stay down here. you do the steps. Great Wall of China. I'll stay down here and look at the trinkets and tell me about it.
Mexico City has several famous archaeological museums. So if you can't get around, you can go through the museums there.
They have pyramid as well.
That's right, Fred.
I was wondering, the as you're traveling and you give these donations, are these, if you didn't choose to give a donation, are these people that would do something to you, or you know what I mean? That was a very nice way to put it, give them a donation. I understand the concept.
Yeah.
But
my impression was that he understood where these people were coming from, and he wasn't afraid or pressured necessarily to give a donation. And it reminded me very much of being in Western Colombia, in the Chocó region, which is also very poor and has armed groups. And one understands the plight of a lot of people. And one also, like he said, this is the only one I filmed. So I think he was saying somewhat obliquely, I didn't film the others, and it wasn't a good idea to do that. I didn't have the impression necessarily he was afraid. A lot of people worry about that. Maybe someone else has an insight I don't.
I don't have an insight, but maybe they can place something in the car so that other people would know as you went by that you've already donated.
Well, the problem with that is, every town's got their own little group.
Right. Well, I'm thinking in terms of that one street that we were looking at, that maybe there were 50 or 60 people down the line.
Well, it's a different culture in Mexico. You'll go down the road and there'll be 25 strawberry stands, all operated by independent people, all selling the exact same strawberries. And the thought is, well, why don't they all get together and have one big stand? But it doesn't work that way,
No.
And probably it's the same there. Like, yeah, well, that guy down the street, he's not part of my group. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
I just wondered if there was any. He didn't sound. I mean, he handled it very, very well. But I just was wondering, are these people? Well, if you chose not to give a donation, if you could possibly be in fear.
Well, I think another way to look at it, and maybe this isn't totally accurate, but we have police forces who take care of things, and we pay for that with our taxes. And in a lot of other cultures, they also have a need for security, and they pay for it a different way.
Correct.
And
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. And so it's where we have to just kind of set aside our cultural expectations, which is one of the things I think is really important about travel, is learning to set aside our cultural expectations and seeing what people in different cultures do. Sure. And how they handle things. I mean, to be honest, if you go to England, the bobbies or the British policemen do not carry guns. And in the US, they have got all sorts of weapons on them. And they don't expect necessarily they're going to need them. So even within our own country, in our own Western culture, we have different expectations of security and how we take care of things. So I was fascinated when he referred to that as a donation.
Yeah, I think in Mexico, the attitude is more like, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I pay my taxes. I don't commit any crimes. I don't want to pay tons of money for a police force. Let the bad people pay the police when they commit a crime. Rather than I pay the police, let the bad guys pay. So if you think about that, that's not maybe a terrible system. It's just we don't do it that way. But
can I suggest, I'm from Detroit, and I think we should look at our own cities like Detroit. When you see 5 people standing in the middle of the street, you don't go down that street. You turn around and go someplace else. I don't know what Chicago is like, but I'm guessing we've got them in Chicago too. So I think we need to look into our own little book and be realistic about
that's
it.
right. We shouldn't be too quick to judge.
I have a friend. He's over 90 now, but he always used to refer to the Roman Empire as a giant protection racket. And he had a point. Pax
That's it.
Romana. Well, it was great having you all here today. I realize we're out of time. As usual, I'm always out of time in my classes, meaning that we are really enjoying it, and I appreciate the conversation. We'll be back tonight to Rick, what is the class tonight? Tonight is the introduction to untours. This is a great class. We've got Andrea Sipper coming to tell us about untours. If you don't know anything about untours, I think it's a travel philosophy we all can appreciate. If any of you have done an untours, come and share about your experience. And she'll be back again in a few weeks. I'm really glad to have her with us, and hope to see some of you there. Tomorrow, we'll be talking about Guanajuato. So Laura, you were talking about other Mexican cultures. We'll be looking at Guanajuato City tomorrow.
I hopefully will be able to do that. And group was great. Great conversation. Loved it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to have you here with us, and glad to see you all. Everybody have a good afternoon.
Yep,
See you
thank
possibly this
you.
evening or tomorrow, another day.
Good job. Thank you so much.
Adios.
Thank you. Bye-bye to all.
Yes.